Hello everybody, today's another day, and today we're going to be talking about the debauchery, which is Black Lives Matter. The race scam that started as a scam and continues to be a scam to the day. Let's begin.
Well, Black Lives Matter in trouble again. The leader of the Oklahoma City chapter is accused of using millions of donations as her personal ATM, and now she faces 25 federal counts. That's very serious. David Spunt, live from Washington with more. Hi, David.
Hi, Dana. Her name is Tashella Sherry Amore Dickerson. According to federal prosecutors, she's 52 years old. She ran Black Lives Matter, the Oklahoma City branch, and is charged with wire fraud and money laundering. Authorities say she began her tenure leading the organization in OKC back in 2016, giving her access to PayPal, Cash App, bank accounts of the Black Lives Matter chapter. They say that she put at least $3.5 million, $3.15 million, I stand corrected, in return bail checks supposed to be used to post bail for people into her personal accounts, rather into the chapter accounts. These are some of the allegations where authorities say she was involved traveling to Jamaica, tens of thousands retail shopping, 50,000 in food and deliveries, personal vehicle registered in her name, 6 properties in Oklahoma City in her name, or a business that she controlled. Authorities say some of this all took place around the time of the death of George Floyd, which prompted, in some cases, violent protests across the country in 2020. Now, the BLM national office telling Fox News she is part of a separate local organization, writing to us, the Black Lives Matter movement practices a model of decentralized leadership. The Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation operates independently relief from local chapters, and the local chapters operate independently of the foundation, end quote. Now, we reported, Dana, at the end of October that the Justice Department is probing Black Lives Matter overall, looking at whether senior leaders in the organization may have potentially defrauded donors during those 2020 protests. If convicted, Ms. Dickerson could face 20 years behind bars and a fine of up to $250,000 for each count of wire fraud, and there are 20 wire fraud counts out of those 25 counts total. Dana.
Well, they uncover it bit by bit. Thanks, David.
Let's begin with IDing the 3 people who started this organization. Some people consider these ladies to be criminal masterminds due to the decentralized nature of the program when it comes to leadership. First, we have Patrice Cullor, Alicia Garza, and Opal Tomita. Some people call them criminal masterminds, not because they've actually been charged with any crimes, but the leaders in their subgroups in certain cities are being charged with fraud.
Investigating whether leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement defrauded people who donated tens of millions of dollars during the 2020 protests. Subpoenas and at least one search warrant have reportedly been issued in recent weeks as part of the probe. It's not clear if the investigation will result in criminal charges. The Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation says it took in over $90 million in donations in the wake of George Floyd's death.
Now let's meet these individuals who are responsible for the spectacular fall of the Black Lives movement. What was supposed to be a civil rights campaign turned into a giant fraud operation that continues till today. Tyree Conveyors Page.
Let's get into the actual story.
Right at noon, we begin with breaking news. The FBI and Toledo police are raiding the house owned by High Frequency Ohio. Sir Major Page, a key member of the group.
So the man at the center of this is a man called Tyree Conyers Page, who is also known as Sir Major Page, very questionable nickname there, and how he was recently sentenced to serve 42 months in a prison in Ohio on federal charges. Prosecutors argue that Page took money donated to his organization through Facebook and used it for travel, personal items, and a home in Toledo.
Yeah, Amanda, the FBI has arrested Sir Major Page, legal name Tyree Conyers Page. I want to show you what the scene is like here in the Central City right now. The FBI is just finishing up their search of this house on the 2000 block of Glenwood here in Central Toledo. Now, the FBI and Toledo police have been out here since about 7:30 this morning searching the home. A complaint was filed with the FBI's National Threat Operations Center back in April, alleging that Page was fraudulently utilizing a Black Lives nonprofit organization. They claim he was misrepresenting himself and posing as a Black Lives Matter leader.
Now, before I go further into the details, I do want to point out for everybody out there in the audience that this man with 2 different names happens to be the whitest Black Lives Matter activist since Shaun King, and that's because this guy is actually an albino.
Oh, so you said that it was a white guy. What happened?
arrested.
And you might think, Sean, that is irrelevant information, but the fact of the matter is, it absolutely is relevant, it is fascinating, and he also had a very sketchy past prior to this that should have raised suspicion due to the fact that he was running this Black Lives Matter Greater Atlanta Area organization, and obviously it just was not up to snuff. So I'm gonna roll into a news segment from 7 years ago out of Atlanta that will give you an idea of how crazy this person is and why he makes the perfect spokesperson for BLM, in my opinion.
He has been at the center of 2 Fox 5 I-Team investigations, and now the Atlanta man accused of impersonating a police officer and posing as an FBI agent wants to be at the center of city council.
Yeah, you might know Tyree Page as Sir Major. He's been an outspoken activist with Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta.
So that's one hell of an intro from the I-Team over at Fox in Atlanta. A man accused of impersonating a police officer and an FBI agent wants to be at the center of city council.
He calls himself Sir Major Page, leader of Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta, a group that broke off from the original Black Lives Matter organization here in Georgia.
I come over here and I watch what's going on and I hold these cops accountable.
But in the last year, authorities would arrest Page multiple times for impersonating a police officer. One of those came while Page took it upon himself to direct bus traffic at a downtown MARTA stop, then demanding to know who was in this car.
Sir, would you roll your window down? I would like to identify you.
He found out who he was. The man was an Atlanta cop. That would become the 3rd time Page would be arrested for impersonating a police officer before he walked into the Sloppy Floyd building with a gun. According to a report from the private company Dynamic Security, Page refused to show ID to their staff, claiming he was with the FBI and they were hindering an investigation. Somehow a Dynamic Security supervisor let him through. This is a surveillance picture from inside the Secretary of State's corporate records office showing an armed Page waiting in line.
Now, I also want to point out that there is a toupee that is impersonating someone's hair on top of this man's head that I don't quite understand, and I think it is very, very important to highlight that that is one of the most ridiculous hairdos I've ever seen. And believe me, as somebody who is well aware of the fact that I do not have the best hair in the United States of America, you have to go above and beyond to portray yourself with such horrible hair that I will actually comment on this. So yeah, this guy had been investigated by the local Atlanta affiliate for all these different other crazy things, including 2 different impersonations of law enforcement officers. So is it all that surprising that he ended up running a fraudulent BLM organization? In fact, considering the main BLM organization was actually fraudulent, is this surprising at all? Or maybe is he just not fraudulent? He's just following in the footsteps of the original BLM organizers. Again, let me know what you think down in the comments below.
And today, he announced his plan to run for Atlanta City Council president. Major's team says he filed his paperwork this morning at City Hall and that he's running for council president because he has a, quote, social responsibility and moral obligation to step up. Page ultimately pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor obstruction charge and is currently on probation. As for the other charges against Page, they were dropped.
So there's a reason I decided to highlight this news segment in particular, and that's the reason right there, because I like to communicate a bit of a story to you guys, a bit of a narrative in every video that I bring to you, and this perfectly encapsulates who this man is. Somebody accused of committing crimes, somebody with a lengthy criminal history, saying that he needs to step up into the world of activism, he needs to serve in government because he's being called due to the fact that he has this greater responsibility. And what was that greater responsibility? Being an advocate for Black Lives Matter. Now, this guy is going super hard, and probably it has to do with what I'm going to call albino syndrome or an albino complex in this particular moment, and trying to be the most pro-black public-facing person he could possibly be. But in reality, as we find out, and he has been convicted of these charges, by the way, he's nothing more than a common thief. He's nothing more than what they highlighted in the first half of that, which is a criminal impersonator rather than somebody who's actually a legitimate advocate for a good cause.
Ultimately, the FBI says Sir Major Page has spent over $200,000 on personal items generated from donations received from that account with no identifiable purchase for social or racial injustice.
So we go to the Daily Mail and we find out that in 2020, Page created social media and GoFundMe pages under the name Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta, and he's accused of exploiting the murders of George Floyd to fraudulently collect $500,000 from over 1,000 donors. Investigators say he kept money for himself to fund his lavish lifestyle, evidenced by clips played in U.S. District Court on Tuesday, which he raps about making six figures while putting on gold cufflinks, the Toledo Blade reports.
And I went and pulled the pictures of those text messages where he said he had won the lottery and he bought a big-ass cribba, almost like a mansion. I just bought my house today. I paid over $100K just now. I got my own house, 3 floors. Come see my house. The shit is huge. The government said the crimes led to thousands of donors to lose money. For his part, Page said he was born with fetal alcohol syndrome and albinoism. And because he had such a difficult upbringing, and he was bullied at school and faced racism, that's his defense for his behavior. Of course, taking no responsibility at all. His defense attorney said that they acknowledged that it was a serious offense. According to the prosecutor's office, they say people donated their hard-earned money to support causes they believed in. And when a fraudster like Page comes along and tried to get away with a fake charity scheme, it hurts legitimate nonprofit organizations that rely on the generosity of others to advance their missions and make a positive change on the world. So what do you think? Did he help make that positive change for the black communities who need it so much still to the day? Let's hear from one of the business owners who was affected by this tragedy.
Do you guys remember the BLM riots? I sure as do, because I owned a business at the time, a car dealership, that had a flag on the roof. And I clearly remember when BLM was about to take a march down Coast Highway, I pulled all the cars back. I closed the gate. I actually hired someone to sit on the roof to ensure my business didn't burn down. And one of my own friends who I served in the Marine Corps with said, "Oh, that's so racist of you to not let them burn your building down." The best sales job ever done in the world might have been BLM. Best marketing to ever be done. You remember when everybody was apologizing for being white and putting black squares on their social media? The audacity of how ridiculous and stupid we were as a country to let our country burn down for what? So that the BLM leaders could literally take the money and buy mansions. They're now in jail. Good riddance to you. We're not doing BLM again. We're not doing Antifa. We're not doing COVID shots and closing our business. Go yourself with your
Here comes the second social justice warrior, Monica Cannon Grant.
According to federal prosecutors, Monica Cannon Grant paid herself more than $170,000 last year to run her nonprofit. Her husband worked as well, but prosecutors say the couple applied for and received pandemic unemployment assistance to the tune of thousands of dollars. And that, they say, is just part of the fraud alleged here. Social justice activist Monica Cannon Grant is seen here leaving federal court this afternoon after her initial appearance. The U.S. Attorney's Office announced this morning that Cannon Grant and her husband, Clark Grant, have been indicted by a federal grand jury for defrauding donors and grant issuers, including an unnamed Massachusetts DA's office, along with the Massachusetts Department of Unemployment Assistance and a mortgage lending business, all amounting to thousands of dollars.
Again, she's innocent until proven guilty.
That's the reaction today at the anti-violence nonprofit organization founded by Cannon Grant and her husband, Violence in Boston, which uses this building in Hyde Park as a social impact center.
She has me working with the gangs in the streets to make sure that, we can kind of stem down violence. Can't be mad at a person like that. I mean, yeah, we make mistakes. Yeah, we may have messed up, but again, we're not educated on what a 501c3 is supposed to do all the time.
But according to federal prosecutors, this was not just a minor or momentary misunderstanding. Rather, over a period of years, the defendants conspired to use VIB as a vehicle to solicit and receive charitable contributions from institutional and individual donors that they then used for a wide range of personal expenses. And this is a superseding indictment for Clark Grant. He was initially charged last October on 2 counts. The couple will be back in court in the near future for their arraignments.
The activist Monica Cannon Grant has been sentenced to 4 years of probation with 6 months of home confinement. Prosecutors had originally requested 18 months in prison. Cannon Grant pleaded guilty to federal fraud charges after taking donations for her organization Violence in Boston and then using the money for herself.
Some say she got off with just a little slap on the wrist. Now, remember the gentleman in the prior video who said it's just a misunderstanding and people are taking this all out of context? I actually have snips from her own words, and it's pretty heavy. So if you have kids around, or if you don't want to hear debauchery, you might want to put this on mute.
It is to wake up black, regardless of how many educated gang symbols you have at the end of your name, regardless of how close in proximity you are to white supremacy, regardless of how many white penises you ride. And I ain't mad at you, sis, because if you riding that motherfucker for a credit score, get you that house, boo. Get your 40 acres in your mule. Just don't forget that you's a nigga. Okay? Okay? All right, cool. That's where we at. And if somebody don't get some racial bias training to these white officers, we are one incident away from a race war. One incident away from a fucking race war, but misunderstandings. We're gonna have a lot of misunderstandings in this city. Fuck the police. Fuck the police. Fuck the police. Fuck the police. Y'all picked the right one. Y'all picked the right one. I'll organize 45,000 motherfuckers to be on y'all's front lawn. I'm not playing. Don't get to fucking keep and fucking abolish cash bail. Fuck your bail. They're literally getting rich off of fucking bail, and they're so ignorant and so disrespectful, but we're supposed to believe that they're there to protect and serve us. FTP to the fucking death of me. I love y'all. I'm appreciative. Y'all don't get. Don't come for me and I didn't fucking send for you. I don't need nobody to be on my team. I've been doing this shit by myself for how long? It's back. Today is the day. Y'all better come collect y'all's officers. And that's not a fucking threat. Because y'all sit and talk about police relations and community police fucking relations. And all of these fucking motherfuckers having these basketball events taking pictures with cops. And y'all ain't telling these fucking babies that these are the same cops that are gonna beat the shit out of them and run the fuck up on them. When you pick the right one today, I'm gonna sit here for a good. Let me say this. Anything that happens in City Hall, I get notified by City Hall. What that means is that there's motherfuckers working in City Hall that gives me the alley-oop. They call me from inside of meetings. They call me from inside of City Hall. They call me and hit me up and give me the drop on shit. How is it that the bitch that's in the bed on maternity leave knows everything that's happening in City Hall? So maybe y'all need to check y'all circles. But I digress. So first, let me say.
Told you, it's pretty heavy. Now, I can't play this part because it's going to be copyrighted music. But did you hear what she said? She even has people on the inside who she's paying to get information from. That's pretty crazy. Now, if you ask me, it looks like she has insider connections and she got off easy because of what she knows, who she's connected with.
In your skin. And this is the shit that I'm talking about. I'm not anti anybody that has a city job. I'm anti-coonery. There is a situation in this city of house Negroes and field Negroes that nobody wants to talk about, right? And what happens is the house Negroes will always cape for the oppressor. It'll always be, Oz Master can't do it by herself. Oz Master really cares about us. Oz Master's gonna make sure we all right. While the rest of everybody else is fucking scraping and picking cotton and losing their fucking life and got these whips across their back.
Violence in Boston. This is a interesting representation here, huh?
Once again, we have to pause it because there's copyrighted music on this. But what you're seeing is a group of counter-protesters being attacked by Black Lives Matter representation. The people who are supposedly fighting violence are the violent ones.
But all you Captain Save-A-Hole motherfuckers got out here campaigning for him? I'm confused. I'm gonna need somebody to break it down for me.
Like, y'all are trying to clock what I'm doing. And you're monitoring, because the DA's office gave me a $6,000 grant. And I was like, y'all are monitoring $6,000. I spent 20 grand in the month of August. You don't get it. Off of grassroots fundraising, helping women, paying light bills, paying rent, paying for abortions, paying car.
That's right, you heard that correctly. She's paying for abortions for her community. Now, after hearing from her, how do you feel? Now our last social justice warrior, Tashilla Dickerson. She's the leader of the Oklahoma City chapter.
The executive director of Black Lives Matter Oklahoma City accused of spending millions of dollars in donations that were meant for her organization.
Reverend T. Cherie Dickerson, a well-known activist in Oklahoma City, has been charged with wire fraud and money laundering.
KOCO's Jason Berger has more on the indictment.
It is always very humbling and a privilege to be able to do the best you can at what I call being community.
For years, T. Cherie Dickerson has made many appearances in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. Thursday, she made her initial appearance in court, accused of using donations to the organization on herself. The indictment alleges the local OKC BLM chapter accepted charitable donations through its affiliates, and that Dickerson spent more than $3 million on things like vacations, clothes, and even real estate here in OKC. KOCO5 has interviewed Dickerson many times in years past. This was at a Black Lives Matter rally in May 2020.
We're here saying again that Black Lives Matter, as well as stop killing us.
Federal prosecutors allege Dickerson was spending money that was supposed to be used for pre-trial bail for people arrested at protests following the death of George Floyd.
We are tired of not being listened to. We are tired of not being treated with the dignity and respect that they expect.
According to the DOJ, BLM OKC raised over $5.6 million, which included grants from national groups for that bail money. The indictment alleges Dickerson deposited at least $3.15 million in returned bail checks to her personal accounts. Dickerson posted a video to her personal Facebook page saying her attorneys advised her not to comment, but she did say, quote, "To many, this wasn't a secret. We know that it was coming, and so it has." And in that same Facebook video, Dickerson said these charges are common against people that do social activism work like this. The FBI OKC field office and the IRS led this investigation. In OKC, Jason Berger, KOCO 5 News.
Now let's see how she represents herself on her own social media platform.
Love Black Lives Matter. That slogan dropped 10 ints in my lap. So I bounced from these broke black hoods straight to them rich white Nobel spots where the lawn stay perfect.
Well, now that you've seen this, what do you think? Is this part of social justice, or is this just another way to defraud good people? Heavy information today. So let's end this video with a prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you with humble hearts, asking for your shield of protection over our lives, our work, and our resources. Guide our minds with wisdom so we may discern truth from deception, expose every hidden scheme meant to harm us, and let honesty be brought into the light. Strengthen our spirit so we will not be swayed by false promises or pressured into unwise decisions. Bless our hands with honest work and our hearts with peace, knowing you are our ultimate provider. May integrity guide our steps, and may your justice prevail over every act of fraud. In your mighty name we pray. Amen.